Welcome back to LibQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until Tears of the Kingdom, the sequel, comes out, which is today in 101 days. Tomorrow, our final 100-day countdown begins. I'm excited for it. It definitely feels like we're getting closer and closer, and February is going to begin too, one day later, where we are likely going to get our next Nintendo Direct. Now today, I want to talk about something Tears of the Kingdom related as well, which is what's gonna be back in Tears of the Kingdom. I want to talk about pretty much every game element in Breath of the Wild, from Koroks to weapon durability to champion abilities to runes to shrines, and explain what I think will be back and what I think will not be back. First of all, I do think weapon durability will be back. I know a lot of people were against weapon durability, me included. I think it was one of my major points of anxiety when playing the original game, where constantly every time I wanted to head out to a new exploration or a new shrine or challenge or boss fight, I felt super hesitant about using specific weapons, and I kind of didn't like how I ended up having to play around the game with that in mind. That being said, I think the game will probably add two options that will help with weapon durability in general. Number one, I really think there's going to be some sort of crafting or repairing system. I think that's something that's been brought up too many times for the devs to not tap into personally. Obviously, all I'm doing here is complete speculation. I might be completely wrong with every single thing I'm saying. But, yeah, I thought, at least to some extent, that is something to potentially tap into. Now, I also think another thing that is going to help us to deal with weapons. Also, by the way, this is one of the most annoying Koroks to get, because Link does not want to stand on top of the skeleton. But we've already previously seen in one of the teasers a shield flamethrower attachment. I think the game is simply gonna offer more options to deal damage in non-traditional ways. In Breath of the Wild, you were essentially stuck with the bomb rune. All you would do is you would use bombs, especially bombs plus, because they actually do a decent amount of damage, to do extra damage to enemies when you wanted to preserve durability. A lot of people really use that a lot in the Trial of the Sword because of how little durability you have in it. And that makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm assuming that the flamethrower that we've seen is going to be one of those options, but it's probably not going to be the only one. I already talked about my theory in the past, where I think there's going to be multiple shield attachments. The Dragon Head just seems to be one of them. I think it's especially interesting when you think about the different animals in Zonai architecture. We've previously seen a pig and a snake. It could be like the pig gives you some sort of charge that you can use attached to your shield. Oh, I hate these Koroks so much. What? Just... Oh my god. Any minute now. I think it's actually better if you get it from here. Wow. And maybe the snake is actually going to have some sort of poison effect. That could be an interesting way, or maybe some sort of stealth. I do really think we're going to get more options, essentially, to deal damage in Tears of the Kingdom that are not related to weapons. While I think weapon durability will still be the case, I think that system is too ingrained in this entire world. I think there's just going to be more options, let it be repairing, crafting, or just non-weapon damage abilities that will help us dealing with it. That being said, let's move into the next topic, which is going to be shrines. I've said in the past that I don't think shrines will be returning. The reason I don't think shrines will be returning is we haven't seen any Sheikah technology specifically in Tears of the Kingdom, and I do really think they are basically gonna be gone from that world. The Sheikah have completed their task, their original task, which was to get Link, to test Link's strength when the time was right by doing the trials, the shrines, etc. And I think we have successfully done so. That being said, I think the Zonai are going to be the ones testing Link this time. We haven't seen a single Sheikah tower. We haven't seen a single shrine in any of the teasers. We haven't even seen the Sheikah Slate itself, which seems to be replaced by this Tear Vial instead. Also, if you're curious what I'm doing right now, I'm looking for a cactus. Well, specifically 3 cactus. I'm currently in the process of being annoyed at the fact that I somehow did not complete the shrine I just obtained. because that's actually what decides whether the sandstorm is going to go away or not. I tend to not, I found them at least, I tend to not do the shrines in this playthrough because they're not actually needed to get 100% on the map, but yeah. So I don't think there's going to be any shrines. I think Sheikah technology in general is going to be absent from the game, and that means no shrines. I think we've seen the purpose of shrines in this game. We've got 120 of them, and even though they are some of my favorite gameplay elements, because like I previously explained in videos, I love shrines, I love shrine speedruns, I think they're gonna be gone, and that's fine to me. There's gonna be hopefully dungeons instead. Traditional dungeons, I think this is one of the main complaints that people had in this game, that they wanted more classic Zelda-style dungeons, and I think we're gonna get them for the removal of shrines. There might be additional small little tests that are not shrines. I don't know what they're gonna look like, but I do really think shrines are gonna be gone. Let's move on to Korok seeds. I think these are definitely the #1 thing that people are always asking at my streams. Do you think Korok seeds will be back? I personally have no idea, just like any of you, but I actually think there's a decent chance that they will be back. The #1 complaint for Korok seeds was not necessarily their existence. People didn't like how many Korok seeds there were, and they hated the meaningless rewards for them. You can technically get twice the amount of Korok seeds in the game that you actually need to upgrade all of your inventory slots to the maximum, and that just feels bad. You essentially have like 450 useless Koroks that you can literally only use to whatchamacallit, that you can literally only use to get Hestu's gift, which is a literal piece of shit. So I think it's pretty understandable that people were disappointed. In general, having some sort of some sort of reward for exploring the game more is interesting. Now the thing is, and this is obviously one of Tears of the Kingdom's biggest potential, that's what people are most scared about, is that we have not really seen too many changes on the overworld itself. So if there was Koroks, would they only be on the Sky Islands, potentially underground? And would they just be absent from the main world, or would they be in different places? Obviously they shouldn't be in the same places, and that specifically does make me think maybe this is not the case. Maybe Koroks won't be back, there will be some sort of different thing. Maybe when the Sky Islands appear, some fragments will fall down that are like the equivalent of Korok seeds, so we can find throughout the world and they actually give us a meaningful reward. So I'm kind of torn when it comes to the Korok seed one. I think it could go either way, essentially. I think they could be back because people like them as much as they hate the rewards. Like Korok designs in general, like the idea of Koroks, I think is something that people like because they're cute, but they would definitely have to add some sort of more meaningful reward in order to not upset people as much. That's pretty much my stance on Korok seeds. Now, we've talked about weapon durability, we've talked about shrines and Koroks. The next point that I want to talk about is runes. Runes, in my opinion, will be both gone and back. We've already seen some sort of new stasis ability multiple times in Tears of the Kingdom's trailers, where Link is essentially going back in time instead of just stopping it. We did see him use his arm instead of the Sheikah Slate. I'm still pretty sure the Sheikah Slate will be absent from the game. So I think runes, the idea of them, some sort of abilities will be back. Are they going to be called runes? Maybe, maybe not. I'm still pretty sure that we're going to be using, yeah, that like Sheikah arm, the green arm that we've seen multiple times in the teasers instead. So maybe they're going to be called powers instead. Maybe they're still going to be called runes, but you just use the arm instead. So same with the same as with the Korok seeds. My stance is kind of like, yeah, I mean, basically we already know, right? They will be back. Powers will be back, but we are not sure if they're going to be called runes. Will the remote bomb, Magnesis, Stasis, Cryonis be back? We can basically already say no. I highly doubt we're going to get Stasis back if we already have, which the community sometimes likes to call reverses, which is like a, you know, reverse stasis. So I really don't think that's going to be back. I also don't think bombs are going to be back, which is going to mean a completely different approach to speedrun strategies. There might be some sort of explosion rune or some sort of explosion magic, because like bombs tend to be around, but I really think the remote bomb, how we know it, won't be a thing anymore. Last but not least, I want to talk about champion abilities, one other major aspect of the game, which we can find here, right? Urbosa's Fury, I just used it to kill that Molduga. I think those will be Gun, obviously. Well, not obviously. In terms of like lore, it technically makes sense that Link can still use them in the sequel. But I really think we're gonna experience some sort of like reset, right? Like Link is gonna get the new arm, the Master Sword is gonna be broken. I'm assuming our hearts are gonna go back to 3. Our stamina, if that's in the game, is going to go back to 0. That just makes sense, right? It's going to be some sort of soft reset. Otherwise, I've talked about the fact before that I really don't think that the save file for Tears of the Kingdom, the save file of Breath of the Wild is going to matter for Tears of the Kingdom, at least not in some major way. Maybe it's going to be some small nod or some like hidden little reward or secret that you can only get if you played Breath of the Wild, but that's like the most that I think will happen. Instead, and this is in my most recent Tears of the Kingdom theory, I talked about this, instead of the champion abilities, what I think we're gonna get is some sort of other powers from the dungeons. I still believe that the tiers, the 7 tiers, will end up translating into some sort of ability. Kind of like in Twilight Princess when you talk to those like the Golden Wolf to unlock like a new sword power. I think every time we do a dungeon, we get a tier, we're gonna unlock some new power. That could even add some sort of like linearity to the game, which some people dislike. I am still personally a fan of the idea to add a little bit more linearity to Tears of the Kingdom, simply for the fact that I think it would be cool from a speedrunning perspective. Finding some sort of like actual sequence breaks, I think could be a fun time. Obviously, I can't tell if that's actually going to be happening again, but I think it would be cool. Now, and again, that's from a very selfish, like, speedrunning perspective. I also think that what could be really cool is that for every... People have already pointed out the 7 tiers and the potential of including and having somehow the 7 sages be relevant to those 7 tiers. It would be cool to get one ability per sage. They could have, like, they could be themed to different elements. I actually don't really know the lore of the sages, the 7 sages. I don't know what they are really all about. Also, this episode is really just Sandstorm Simulator. I should have probably just done those shrines because I am actually getting lost. Surprisingly, even though I've done these Korok seeds so many times, I'm currently looking for, again, some cactus to get once again another Korok seed before I move on to one of those Moldugas. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to talk about. These are like the major Breath of the Wild's gameplay elements. Okay, I found the cactuses at least. We got the good ending. We actually left the sandstorm successfully. And let me know your opinions too. I could talk about more things like specific enemies, right? I haven't talked about the fact which enemies are going to be back. We've already seen new enemies in Tears of the Kingdom to an extent. We've seen that weird like arm coming out of the ceiling that Link is fighting with the flamethrower. I hope to God that these things are not back. If they remove any enemy from the game, then please let it be the electric keys. That would be a great improvement. Thank you, Nintendo. But yeah, I just wanted to cover that real quick. I think it was an interesting topic. I already talked in the past about shrines in particular, but I think, obviously, like I said, there's much more to it, but I think I covered the main elements, Korok, shrines, etc. Let me actually get one more Korok seed after this. I just realized that there's another Molduga behind me. That's probably a better way to end the episode before I forget that I'm still supposed to get this one. And then I'm basically wrapping up here with all of the Gerudo Korok seeds. Let's get a quick rundown. We are about to hit 60% here soon. I'm assuming that's gonna happen, yeah, at the beginning of the 100-day countdown. We're gonna end this episode right now on, like, basically 59. So let's try to shoot for 60% tomorrow when there's only 100 days left. So we have basically 40% left to do in 100 days, which means 0.4% a day. That averages to about, yeah, 5 Korok seeds. I think that should be pretty doable while still providing some sort of commentary. And that being said, with the Molduga music here, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode again. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tomorrow, 100-day countdown begins. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the start of your week. Peace.